Hello, this is my dog Zeus. He's the best dog in the world. Anyways, I decided to make another video because I have some important things to say. Now, what I want to say to you first is you can check all the facts that I give you. You can fact check them anywhere, on the internet or any place you want. I don't make up any stories, but what I do try to do is give you my opinion, on the overall picture. So what I wanted to say talk about first was these auroras, which we've been seeing lower and lower on the planet, which everybody thinks are beautiful and nice, and wow, let's check it out. These are not good things to see where we're currently seeing them. These auroras, they're caused by the sun, and it's radiation in our atmosphere, deadly radiation. So that's not a good thing. We're currently in a solar minimum that started around December 2019 and goes for around 11 years. It's kind of deceiving. A solar minimum, the sun's very active. That's why they call it a solar minimum, I don't know. But anyway, these auroras that we're seeing are it's really not good at all that we're seeing these type of things. Our sun is putting off a lot of CMEs and solar flares and solar winds and stuff, and these directly affect Earth. If you look at when a CME goes off or these solar winds or something, they really do create certain weather events on Earth. Earthquakes are directly tied to the sun's activity. And with the sun being as active as it's been, that's why we're getting this, crazy weather, earthquakes all over the place. And, they're not showing you all this type of weather on the regular news that you see on the idiot box. You really have to look for it. But if you look around the globe, it's frightening, the type of weather events that we're having. It's just frightening. And this all, like I said, is related to the sun and the sun's activity. One thing I want to say is, it seems like our government and stuff that's going on just seems crazy. It just seems crazy. Like, if an average guy like me could see that something's really wrong with it, then I'm sure everybody can. And, I'm not saying they're the brightest people in the world that we have, running things, but they can't be any dumber than I am. So I'm just thinking this. What if they knew there was some kind of an event coming? A big event, a world-changing or maybe country-changing event. It may make a little sense that, what they're doing now, maybe they realize, when this event happens, nothing we say or do right now is going to make any difference at all. Maybe that's what's going on. What I do know for sure is that, the wealthy, and I don't mean rich people, I mean the wealthy. The wealthy are building, they have been building for a while now, but are really in a rush, and they're building these bunkers, underground bunkers. I just think that, maybe wealthy people are privy to information before some of us lower life people are. And if they are, what are they in such a rush to build these things for? Jeff Bezos is, he's got a bunker. I'm sure it's a really nice one that he built, and 1,000 feet away is his rocket launch pad. So if the crap hits the fan, this guy could either go underground or in space. But, him building this in such a rush leads me to believe he knows something's going to happen in his lifetime. But for him being in a rush leads me to believe that if he knows something, maybe he knows something's going to happen soon. Okay. Another thing that I wanted to talk about was, our president visiting the Pope. Usually when a world leader goes to visit a Pope, it's not just say, hey, how you doing, and let's have some lunch. It's usually to ask them permission to do something or let them know that you're thinking about doing something. That's usually why a leader, visits the Pope. So I really don't know what's going on there. I think there's, more of a reason than just visiting. Some of the crazy things that I mentioned our government's doing, like, I'm sure you hear about it now. I heard about it a couple weeks ago. There's $450,000 per illegal alien or immigrant that came through the borders. Maybe it was just for the ones that were separated from their family or whatever, but they were told not to come here. They knew that was wrong. And now our government wants to give each one of those people $450,000 a piece or $1 million per family. When, first of all, that's just, in my mind, it's ridiculous. Secondly, there's so many Americans that are suffering now, and you say you can't help them out, but you got all this money to come up with for these people. And by the way, all this money that they're spending, whether it's to build back better or for these illegal immigrants or all this stuff, this is taxpayer money. It's not from their personal checking accounts. This is taxpayer money. And I really think that we should have a say in these things, not just a say in an election, but whenever these big bills go through, we're talking about billions of dollars, which I wasn't aware, but every year they go through and they give these other countries billions and billions of dollars. Some of these countries hate our guts, and we're giving them tons and tons of money, and our debt's going higher and higher and higher. I wonder how low our debt could be if we could begin to pay it off, or at least stop it from increasing if we just stop giving these other countries all this money that we give them every year. And really, tighten up on some things that they're spending now. First it was they needed $5 or $6 trillion for this Build Back Better thing. Then it went down to 3 million. Now it's like 1.7 trillion or something like that, and people are thinking, I guess we got a good deal. No. Do people understand what a trillion is? They don't. They throw this word around and we almost become accustomed to it. I'll give you an example. If you took $1 bills and laid them end to end, you got a trillion of them. Those dollar bills would go from the earth, surface of the earth, to the moon and back 4 times. 4 times. If you could go back in time 1 trillion seconds ago, now remember this, Jesus was supposedly on the earth 2,000 years ago. If you could go back in time 1 trillion seconds ago, you'd be going back over 36,000 years ago. That's a trillion in seconds. 1 trillion seconds equals 36,000 plus years. I think it's 36,188 years, something like that. That's what a trillion is. And they're throwing this number around like it's, we got them down to 1 point some trillion. Good deal, good deal. No, it's a lot of money. Taxpayer money that we're going to have to pay back. If we continue on this path, it's my opinion that our national debt will be up over $100 trillion by 2030. And that's enough. We'll never be able to pay that off. What kind of world are we leaving for our children? That kind of debt for them when it is unnecessary. I think the first thing we got to do is start taking care of Americans and our own first. I believe in helping other people, but only after we take care of ourselves first. Now, to some people that may sound selfish, but in order to be able to take care of other people, you yourself need to be healthy and strong. And I think that Americans need to be taken care of first. And it will make them a lot happier. I can't imagine people being okay if this bill passes where they get $450,000 for each illegal alien for something they shouldn't have done. And by the way, since they've heard that, if you look at videos, which there's very few of the people coming through the border now, it's insane the amount of people. And also, this is what it was costing us a while ago. Illegal aliens, when they come through the border, of course, we got to put them up in a hotel. Of course, we got to feed them. A few months ago, that was costing us taxpayer money, over $65 million per week to give them free lodging and food per week. There's money that we could save right there. Also, since we stopped the Afghan war, which was just a bad ending, that supposedly cost us $300 million a day. We're not spending that anymore. Okay. Also, $450,000 per person. Our president has a beach house that I guess he's feeling a little insecure and he wants to build a fence around it. Well, that fence just so happens to cost $450,000. Guess who he wants to pay for it? Taxpayers. He's a multimillionaire. Why does he want taxpayers to pay for it? It's his house, his yard, his fence. He should pay for it. Period. That's it. Okay. So don't ever forget what a trillion is, because this is money our kids are going to be paying back for their kids. Generations to come are going to be paying for this, if it can be paid for at all. Okay. Next thing I wanted to talk about is these food shortages. Why are we having these food shortages? Something happened to all the cows? No, we're still producing the same amount of food. But I think maybe there's less workers able to, work at these places. There's less truck drivers that are able to transport this food. And why do I think a big reason for that is? I think a big reason for that is the vax mandates. You're forcing people to get something that I think violates our freedoms, forcing them to get it when they don't want to. And then when they don't get it, you say, okay, well then you can't work. Who's suffering there? People are. You see the price of food. But I'm sure the people that are making those decisions aren't worried about what food costs. They got plenty of money for it. We're the ones that pay for that in expense. Look at just recently what happened the other day in New York. I think it's like they lost 25% of the police officers. Same thing with their fire department, EMTs, all this stuff. How is that helping anything? How's it helping anyone? Florida's buying those New York cops. They're saying, hey, you want to be treated better? Come to Florida. We'll give you a $5,000 sign-on bonus, and we're not going to make you get any kind of vaccine if you don't want it. Now, I'm not against vaccine or whatever. First and foremost, I believe that we should have the freedom to decide on what we want to put in our bodies. Okay? And one thing I want to say real quick, from what I've read, I guess this would be my opinion, I can't seem to find it on the internet now. Things seem to change a little bit there. But the average time to come up with a vaccine was between 10 and 15 years. Sure, you could come up with a vaccine quick, maybe a year or two. But the reason why it took that long is because you wanted to watch these people that are in the testing stage of it, to see if they have any severe side effects and how effective this is going to be over a long period of time, which we didn't have. That's why we're having all these surprises, booster shots and this and that. And now they want to say they're approving, vaccinations for, I think, 5 to 11-year-olds. Last year, these kids were supposedly immune to it. I just have a problem with that. I really have a problem with it. Because I think there's so many people out there that don't have enough information. They believe what they're told. They didn't do their own homework. I'm not saying it's bad or whatever, making a mistake, but who knows? You just don't know. And if my kid's taking a risk, I would say no. I'm sorry, I would say no. Am I myself vaccinated? No, I'm not. I haven't been. What I've been doing ever since day one is taking high amounts of vitamin D, vitamin C, taking care of myself, being careful. And for me, that option is much better than going out there and getting a vaccine. Now, I do know people who are vaccinated who still got COVID again and that are very sick. My son, unfortunately, he's 20 years old, is one of them. He's going through a barrage of health issues, and he was vaccinated and got it, got COVID once already. So I just don't, I have a problem with it. And I think a lot of other people do. These people that were supposedly were heroes last year in the medical profession of firefighters and police, we called them all heroes. Now this year, they either get this or they lose their job, which could cause them to lose their house, cause them a lot of stress. I just find a problem with that. Okay. This may sound a little crazy, but I guess all my stuff sounds crazy. But, there's a lot of stuff going on with asteroids. I got my dog out. With asteroids and meteorites. A lot of people don't realize that, our Earth is traveling around the sun. But our solar system is also, I guess, being drugged or going through, our galaxy, which is another way that it's, going around stuff. So we're constantly going into different areas of space. I don't know all the intricacies of this. I just know what I read, and I can understand it. So I'm hopeful that you can. So as we're going through these new areas, we're entering different like neighborhoods, and I think we're entering a neighborhood where there's a lot of asteroids and things like that going on. So we're going to see much more of that happening. I mean, geez, just the other week you heard in British Columbia or something, that woman where a meteorite went through the roof of her house and landed in her bed next to her. You don't hear about stories like that. We're hearing an awful lot about strange weather phenomenon. And if you look on the internet, you see a lot more of it than is showing on the news. I mean, earthquakes, volcanoes, tornadoes. I mean, I live in Jersey. We've had tornadoes here. Never. I'm 58 years old. I don't remember tornadoes being here. I just don't remember it. You see flooding in places. Last year they were calling these things 1,000-year weather events, 1,000-year floods. Well, they're happening again. So I guess not 1,000-year weather events anymore. Now they're starting to become pretty common. See, and that's the thing. When somebody says something enough to you, or things become often enough, you seem to think that, okay, that's just the way it is. Like when they say the word trillion a lot, you kind of get used to hearing that. You don't realize what it is or how much it is. These weather events we're seeing, it's almost like, they're seeing, it's becoming common. So it's like, okay, what they should be saying on the news is like, Holy crap, there were tornadoes in New Jersey. What the heck is going on? You know, they should have been saying. That's what I was saying. So the food shortages, I just think, there's a reason for that. I don't think we're losing any cows, whatever. I think it has to do with workers. And the big thing is transportation. What you got to remember is this. Trucking industry is very, very important. It transports everything. If the trucking industry were to shut down, we would all be out of food in 3 days. No more food stores, nothing. We could be going in 3 days. We have a 3-day supply, and that's what we have. So they shouldn't be putting these mandates on these truckers anyway, because a lot of them own their own rigs. So they're not part of a company that has 100 people or more. And these things are clearly not working out. Look at how it's affecting the airlines. I don't want to hear that these flights were all canceled because of weather or a computer glitch. They're being canceled because there's an employee problem. Because, there's some employees say, I just don't want to get this. That should be a freedom. We should be able to decide on that. Okay, I don't want to get into that again. But anyway, so there's just a lot of stuff going on that has never gone on before in history. I'm not the oldest person, but being my age, there's some things that I'm seeing that I've never seen before. There's some things going on in our government that I've never seen before that are shocking and surprise me. So I think there's some kind of big change or big event that's going to happen. I'm not saying it's world ending or something but something big is definitely on the horizon, in my opinion. And I'm a big proponent of, certain conspiracy theories, but it seems like, maybe there is some kind of a lowering of the population thing going on, a more controllable population, maybe, if that's it. But maybe if somebody knew something was going to happen, wherever we all had to go or do, right now with the amount, we all wouldn't fit. So maybe they'd either lower population for that, or so that a lower population is obviously more controllable. I'm not sure. But, and as far as these solar storms go, back up, people think, the sun, no big deal, no big deal, no big deal. Look this up. It's called the Carrington event. I believe it happened in 1889 or something like that. We didn't have a lot of electricity all across the country back then. But that CME knocked out all the electricity, whatever we had in this country at every place. Just knocked it out. Gone. We had to redo everything. If we get hit with a substantial CME, it will not just destroy electricity, but it will destroy our power plants, our utility plants where they generate the electricity. And it would take months, if not years, to restore that. So if that happens, and they say it's inevitable, imagine if you had no electricity for, if we didn't have for a month, people would be going crazy. It means no Mac machines, no gas, no heat, no hot water. I'd worry about nuclear power plants, just no electricity. CME, no car would run unless you were smart enough and knew it was going to happen, to take the battery out of your car, connect those two, your positive and negative together for a few minutes to get rid of all the electricity that's in your car, and then take your battery and put it in something like a Faraday cage, which we have them in our house. We just call them other things. A microwave would be a type of Faraday cage. Your clothes dryer would be like a type of Faraday cage. Obviously, if you want to use it as one, you unplug these things before you would put something in it, because you just want to use them as a protective box. So if something like that happened, not only would we lose all electric, there'd be no cars that would operate, because it fries anything electronic. So, it just seems like there's a lot of stuff going on. I'm not saying any of these things are going to happen, but the one thing that keeps sticking in my head is, maybe they know something's going to happen, and they're not telling us. And we're thinking all these decisions they're making are crazy. And what the heck's going on with the country? But if they knew something, they'd be saying, hey, listen, all the stuff we're doing today is not going to matter anyway, because when this event happens or whatever, what we're doing is not going to matter. So, I don't know. But I think that people got to make their voices heard. Things that are going on right now that we don't agree with and we don't like, we need to say something about it, to do something about it. This is our country. This country was it's called a big experiment. It started because people that lived in other places didn't like what they were being told to do or the way things were going. So we came here and formed this great country. But it seems like things are trying to change. The rights and freedoms that we had to make this country so great. It seems like they're trying to pick them away from us and take them away from us slowly or quickly. But that cannot be allowed to happen because that would change everything that this represents. You know, and one last thing I have to say, people need to start thinking about the future. You know, I want this planet and for things to be better for my children and better for their children and the generations to come. That's what we need to think about, generations to come, because right now I think we're in a fix it stage. So whatever we do, we're going to have to be working to fix things. I don't think we're going to be able to reap the benefits because it's going to take a while to do that. Anyways, I think I've said enough. My next video I'm going to make, I just want to get some notes, is I want to talk about, could it be possible that our whole entire timeline is a big lie? You'll hear more about that in the next video if you want to watch it. If not, hope everybody's safe. Think about what I said. And remember what a trillion is. It's a crap load. Okay? All right. Hope everybody has a good day.